Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Adam. I'm here with Yus.
What's up, guys? Smash that subscribe button because we just won El Clasico in Las Vegas, packed stadium. Very exciting moment, showing off some of the summer purchase that we had. Adam, why don't
Yus,
we...
And the thing here, right, is that
Sure.
preseason Clásicos are always important for two reasons, right? One, it harkens back, Yus, to your first ever game, which was a preseason Clásico. Might have been a Super Cup. The one where Ronaldo scored at the Camp Nou and held up the purple jersey, shortly after Messi had done the same thing in that 3-2 victory in the La Liga Clasico that year. So I always think back to your first introduction to Barca. And then it's also
moment,
special.
by the way.
It was not a good moment. It definitely was not a good intro. But the other thing that's always awesome about Clasico is, it's never just some sort of preseason friendly, right? We watched the Inter Miami Barca game together, 6-0 ending, and it was such a cakewalk we didn't even want to come on and talk about it. But this game had some real punch to it, right? And I think overall, the crazy thing to me, I had to pinch myself a few times, is that Robert Lewandowski is an FC Barcelona player, right? And he's actually on the pitch. He's out there looking very good, taking a lot of shots, which a lot of our players have been scared to do the last few seasons. And the best part is these are shots on target. I was very happy to see, but that first goal is still eluding him. And then we had Raphinha, again, after, scoring in the last game, scoring a big goal today and sealing that 1-0 victory versus Real Madrid, who haven't had a shot on goal in the last 180 minutes against FC Barcelona. We all remember the 4-0 victory that made us think we were going to win the Europa League. Sadly, that didn't end up being the case. But, we've had a good run of form here, and I think today was a continuation. It's the preseason, right? And so we do end up having, basically a starting 11 and then 11 being subbed off, and then a new 11 in that second half. But overall, I was very happy. I thought Pedri has continued to kind of warm up. I feel like he's very he's not very warm, right? He's very loose. He's trying to get kind of his rhythm back in the game. He hasn't played that many professional matches in the last few months because of injury. And then in the similar vein is Ansu Fati, who again just doesn't look that sharp yet. But I did like to see him and Lewandowski trying to connect with each other, and I saw Fati make a few runs, and he's looking a little bit faster than he had looked, at the end of last season. So I'm glad to see that knee continue to rehab. But overall, Yus, what were your thoughts about that first half?
The first half for me was so exciting. I loved every minute of that half because the fans were into it. They were all screaming and yelling on both sides of the pitch, and all the players just looked like they were out there and really just trying to showcase themselves with their team. I'm talking about Barcelona, obviously. Like Lewandowski was just really going for it. He was playing on both sides of the pitch, offense and defense, and it seemed like the starting half that we had some attributes we've lacked, last season. We pressed them in to cause that first goal, right? They made that mistake and they passed the ball, and then Raphinha scores that goal. I have seen a lot of times we've talked about a lot of our players being too slow, not moving towards the ball, not pressuring their team too much, and that was there today. And on top of that, Lewandowski just taking shots that he thought he could make, and some in the box and some outside the box,
and
he was taking shots.
So fit.
Right?
Yeah,
that's true.
There is that worry, and I remember you specifically talking about how you're worried a little bit about this spending on an older player, but Robert Lewandowski, and again, it's just a friendly, right? We can't get too in the weeds here and think that it's going to be indicative of what the whole season's going to show, but Robert Lewandowski just looks so fit. Like you were saying, he was pressing very hard. He had that one play where he kind of got past Rudiger and just, almost had a one-on-one with the keeper. That was really awesome. And, I think overall I'm liking what I'm seeing, and, once we get into the second half, we can talk about some of the less-known players. But in that first half, one of the interesting things was, and we've seen Xavi do this before, but we had Araujo start as that right back, right, choosing him over for, example, Sergio Dest or Sergio Roberto to go up against Vinicius Jr., and I thought overall he did well. And, there were a few times when Vinicius got the better of him, but one player I really want to highlight that I've been, very impressed with so far is for sure Andreas Christensen, right? Christensen had a good block on Vinicius. I thought overall he was, performing well at keeping Hazard at bay and not letting him have any opportunity to perform well, although, Eden Hazard is not in the form he might have been 4 years ago because of the injuries he's faced. But I'm very happy to see Christensen do well. I thought Eric Garcia came out and performed better. He doesn't have the highest bar in me and Yus's mind, but overall I thought he had a solid performance, and I was happy to see how that first half went. I felt like we really dominated the ball, right? I mean, even across the full 90, we only allowed them 0 shots on goal, which is very impressive. Other things in that first half, I thought, Fati, Lewandowski, Raphinha is an interesting front three. I would have liked to see Dembele up there, but I'm glad to see that, Xavi is trying things out and experimenting. I'm still not entirely sure what our starting front three is going to be once the season, fully begins. Any other thoughts about that first half, Hughes?
I just thought we did an overall good job, and I really want to say that our team looked a lot more cohesive, and we were making good plays in terms of because I feel like a lot of times in our other games we were a lot more chaotic, a lot more scrambly. We're just trying to look for whatever we can and just cross balls into the box to nobody there. But I think there was people positions in the proper positions, and we were seeing them. We were finding them. We were being lethal, and we were being clinical. So that would be just my last statement of that. And, the second half, since we changed out the whole squad, everything went I wouldn't say went to shit because I don't think it went to shit, but it's a different vibe, right? It was a little bit more slow. A lot of the players that came in.
Like the big difference is, right, and it must be said when we talk about that first half, even though I disagree that we were clinical, to be honest with you, Raphinha's shot was a pretty beautiful and not often expected shot that went in, and I thought there were other opportunities we had in the first and second half that we need to improve on, right? At the end of the day,
that's true.
My main takeaway is clinical finishing is not our strength. I really just love Ronald Araujo. Those are my big two takeaways because he was a beast. Just running past Rudiger, looking like he's like way faster than Rudiger, like a right winger. And then again, when there was that little bit of a dust up at the end of the first half, you saw Araujo kind of pushing around Rudiger, and I just love the energy he plays with. But I think in the second half, where you do see that Real Madrid played much better. I mean, they put on Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, and Casemiro, and just putting on that midfield alone, besides the other changes they made and the changes we made, really seemed to shore up their midfield and their ability to hold on to the ball and advance it. And so, you did see a different side of our team in that second half. Overall, Dembele, I wasn't very excited with. I didn't think he was putting out kind of his full effort, but there were a few players who came in I was happy with. I think Sergio Roberto, with his, platinum blonde hair now, he looked really good in the midfield. Again, it's an interesting choice that Xavi is using Frenkie De Jong as a center back in that second half, but he's using Sergio Roberto as a midfielder. Again, not sure what that foretells about our, regular season La Liga game against Sevilla in about 2 or 3 weeks here. But, will Frenkie De Jong move back in that midfield, or is he using him as a center back because he thinks he's going to leave? What does this all mean? I don't know, but I do know that Sergio Roberto looked better, and he had a good partnership with Kessie, right? Like I saw Kessie, I'm not sure yet how you pronounce his name, but I saw Kessie overall making some good runs into the box, and we alluded to this a few weeks ago when we got him, that I feel like he provides a different type of profile from Gavi and Pedri and Frenkie De Jong and Busquets, where Kessie is not afraid to run into the box, to be the guy taking a shot on goal, especially with the way, Xavi has set up the wingers and how they sometimes come inside to try and, throw the defense off and to mix it up with the right or left back and the center backs. I think Kessie provides a great new outlet, kind of in the vein of Vidal or Paulinho, of these box-to-box midfielders who will push up when the defense allows them and when the winger's coming inside. And that's a good profile that I hadn't been expecting to see from him.
Sure, yeah. And I think those are all very good points because it's good to see the flip side of the coin and some of the players that either were injured or they're younger players like Dest that came in and how they performed, and comparing them to what we would expect as our starting 11s. It was kind of like as you love to say, a tale of two cities in terms of our starting squad and our second half squad. You kind of see the experience levels between the players, what they're capable of, and at what level they are at. And I think it does also highlight the strengths of those players in different situations. And I think it would be beneficial to see Kessie not in that second hand squad, but to see him in the starting 11 squad possibly, and maybe take Gavi out to see how he's in that position. Or I don't think Frenkie De Jong is going to stay in that center back position because it makes no sense. And I don't think Sergio Roberto is going to be a starting midfielder because we only have him on a 1-year contract, and be really weird, especially because Frenkie still has a few years left, and he's worth how much, right? That's the whole thing with Man United and his possible leave. So it'd be crazy to me if they left him in the center back position right when we got Christensen in this whole situation. But anyway, I thought the game was it was really exciting. I like to see Barcelona play in this game where there's not really any pressure on the team to perform and win, even though it looked like they wanted to win. It looked like they wanted to play well, and you saw that previous El Clasicos had heated energy, and I think this game, even though it was a preseason one, really brought that today. And both sides wanted to win, and I think at the end of the day, the fact that Barcelona did so much better is great for our future in this coming season. But at the same time, I see Real Madrid getting saved time and time again by Courtois, and so I kind of think they might have a hard future if they can't score against a team like us at this moment and have no shots on goal, and Courtois is the one keeping us out from having more than one goal.
It's hard to talk about their goal scoring when they're missing, the guy who's going to win the blown
Karim Benzema,
right? They
yes,
don't have the best goal scorer in Europe, so it's a little bit too early for me to say that they're going to have a hard time scoring. But I do agree with you that Courtois is doing really well, and he's a brick wall. I mean, I saw him at the Formula One race in Barcelona, and he's huge. He's just really huge. I think last points are Memphis Depay continues to look pretty good, and I think he's just driving his transfer value up. If it does turn out that we have to, sell him because of finances or because, he wants more regular play time, I think wherever he goes next, he's going to have a hell of a time because he's continued to impress me as a professional and as a player. Balde is just not the guy. Right, that's unfortunately the reality I'm seeing is he's just not ready to be a sub for Jordi Alba for a whole season. It's just
no way.
It's kind of like Firpo a little bit. Just reminds me of a player who's kind of like a deer lost in the headlights and doesn't know what to do. And I'm hoping that he gets either put out on loan. That's probably the best bet for him to just keep trying to improve. And then Aubameyang again. He had that stretch of form with us where he was scoring a lot, but I just kind of feel like he goes back into a rut as a player, and I don't see that edge on him coming into the first full season he has here, right, where you'd want him to really be fighting to get a spot and to make sure that he, at least gets some minutes now that Lewandowski is here, but it didn't seem like he was all that engaged in the game. Same with Dembele, so we'll see. I mean, it's just a preseason game, but it's fun to watch El Clasico, and it's fun to watch, the players go at it. It definitely wasn't something that was a snooze fest, right? There was almost that fight in the first half. There was Casemiro trying to punch Depay, I think, at one point, which was very weird. So I'm happy. I mean, listen, we just want to get these players with as much time together. I just want to see, Lewandowski and Raphinha get as many reps together as they can, along with Pedri and Frenkie in the midfield, so that, we come out with the blocks going hard. Like I said, our first game is against Sevilla, which we all know is going to be a tough and tricky game. And I think this team has a lot of expectations, right? We're going to have a video, I'm sure, soon talking about how, we must be fighting for that first spot in La Liga the entire season, and we want to make it definitely past the quarterfinals in the Champions League this year. And so, with a young team, but now mixed with some experience, I think it's going to be really important for us to get off the ground running when the La Liga season starts. And so these preseason friendlies, even though they're just friendlies, I think it's important for us to, get everyone drilled in with how Xavi wants them to play. And I'm hoping for some good things coming up, Yus.
Let's hope for that, guys. And with that, we're out. Drop your comments below. Tell us what you thought about the
click
preseason
subscribe.
El Clasico. Yes. Thanks,
if you're
guys.
on the podcast, go on youtube.com, Barca Breakdown. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Barca Breakdown. Thank you guys so much. Have a nice week.
Thanks, guys.